2022 has been a huge year for Magnus Carlsen drama. So first he decided not to defend his world championship. Then he accused Hans Niemann of cheating over the board in the Sinquefield Cup. And now, on the 28th of December, he announced in the morning of the final day of the World Rapid Championship that he wasn't going to play face-to-face over-the-board chess next year in 2023. So this article on screen, this gives the summary of it, and after we've looked at this one, I've got more drama to come, because in the final round we saw some dramatic chess, and I'll reveal who won the overall championship, became World Rapid Champion. So let's have a look at this one first. So Magnus Carlsen retiring from over-the-board chess. Now this is breaking just today. Now the article was broken by IM David Martinez for Chess24, but that one's in Spanish, so this is an English summary. And basically Magnus is saying here that he doesn't plan to play for at least a year, and the world champion is quoted as saying, after a lifetime playing on the board, I've decided not to play face to face again until at least 24. Of course, I will continue to be very active online. And he goes on to say that he likes the idea of being able to play from home in a swimsuit, eating noodles. He's fed up of traveling, airports. Don't actually know what swear word that's supposed to be, but okay. Then talks about Uzbek food. I don't actually understand the reference there because they're currently playing in Kazakhstan, not Uzbekistan. Anyway, that one aside, but it begs this question. So with Carlsen out, I mean, it leaves a huge hole in the upcoming tournaments, because he'd normally play Tata Steel in January, one of the biggest Super GM tournaments. You've got Norway Chess, you've got the Sinquefield Cup, other very top elite events. So really interesting the hole this now leaves in elite chess. And from Hans Niemann's point of view, I bet he's licking his lips, because it gave the tournament organisers this big headache when Magnus Carlsen said, I'm not playing against Hans Niemann, you know, I refuse to play this guy, I think he's a cheater. And so what did tournament organisers do if they wanted to invite both guys? Well, that headache's now gone away, at least over the board. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the latest Carlsen drama, but now let's jump to the update on the final round of the World Rapid Championship. So first, I'm going to click over here and set the scene. So going into round 13, which was the final round, you had three guys on 9 points: Carlsen, Kamer and Artemiev. Now Carlsen, he was paired up against Parham, the guy ranked number 7 there, and he had the white pieces. Then you had Kamer playing against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, or MVL for short, but Kamer had black. And then Artemiev, he had a really tough pairing as well, playing against Fabiano Caruana, again with the black pieces. So let's look at Magnus's game, then I'll update on how the other two got on and let you know who won. So here we go, it's the fight for the World Championship. Magnus goes e4, best by test. Now c5 from Parham, the Sicilian. Already an imbalance, Magnus would have been very happy to see this. Now we see knight f3, d6, and d4 plays the open Sicilian, and now we get the 4 knights on the board, the pawns attacked and defended. This one develops, and now Magnus plays the absolute main line here in this position. He goes bishop to g5. He's setting up rapid development, queen d2, castles queenside, and e6 now from Parham. And this pawn structure here is known as the Scandinavian pawn structure. I'm trying to say that properly with a hard sk sound. Someone corrected me in the comments the other day, so hopefully it's slightly better. Probably still butchering it. Anyway, queen d2 now comes from Magnus. a6, great multi-purpose move, takes this square from the minor pieces, also prepares b5. Because these are the themes now. After white castles queenside, we see black now just rapidly developing the queenside here, preparing to attack that white king. Now we see f3 from Magnus. He's got similar intentions. He wants g4, attack the black king if it ever castles here. Now we see knight takes on d4, the queen recaptures, and again this is a logical move by black, because although you centralise this queen and improve it, you've now cleared the c-file for your heavy pieces, also opened the eyes of this bishop, and you can go b5 now without having a capture here. Bishop e7 now played, and now king b1, always play king b1 as Ben Feingold would say. Pawn b5 gets the attack going, and h4 from Magnus. We've got a race on our hands, very tense stuff. But Parham now, he just blinks first. The theoretical move here, the main move, computer approved, is queen to c7. Great square for the queen, looks here, also looks down at the king, and you hold off developing this rook because it might want to come to c8 or b8 depending on what white does. But what we see in the game was rook to b8 here, and the problem with this is just not quite as precise. We're going to see that rook move again for a second time, losing a critical tempo in just a moment. Magnus gets on with his attack. Pawn g4, pawn b4 hits this knight. It now drops back to e2, and now a5, yes, progress is being made, but knight g3 comes, and it now covers this h5 square. Magnus has got a really simple plan. He wants to drop the bishop, push g5, just steamroll the black king. Now the queen comes to c7, the bishop drops back, and now rook c8 played. This is the loss of tempo that I was mentioning earlier. So now Parham hits this c2 pawn, Magnus calmly defends and keeps the rook in an attacking position. Really nice multi-purpose sort of position for that rook. And now Parham strikes. He goes pawn d5. When you're getting attacked on a flank, it's very thematic to go for central counterplay. So he's trying to generate something through the centre, open his bishop, maybe pounce the knight in. But e5 from Magnus. He keeps the centre closed and kicks this knight, and where is it actually going? It hasn't got any good squares. I mean, you have to drop to g8 if you don't want to lose it. But Parham, he just castles the king here, and he's got a really interesting idea in mind. If you take the piece immediately, well then the bishop can recapture, and if the queen plays a normal looking retreating move, you can re-win the piece on g3. Now still the computer gives a slight edge for white here actually, because the pawns are coming faster as we can see. There's still an attack. But okay, it would have been double-edged if Magnus had taken that knight. But he doesn't take the knight, he leaves it, he develops this bishop to a6, and he does it with tempo, because he now kicks the rook from the c file, then drops it back to d3, and he's now eyeing this black king, and black's attack is now fizzling out very fast. This rook's had to move 3 times. Magnus is hugely in the driving seat. Now still the knight is left on f6. This rook now comes to the c file, and now Magnus still doesn't take the knight. He doesn't want to give any counterplay. He goes queen f4, so he's now covering this knight. He's removing this queen's attack, and so there is a threat to just win a clean piece. And so now Parham, he goes knight to e8, saves that one, but g5, look at these pawns steamrolling down the board. So hard to defend this now. Look at all the white pieces in the attack. So bishop c5 from Parham. He's trying to trade down some pieces. Maybe the king can run one day if you get very, very lucky. But Magnus just chops off that bishop, queen recaptures, and plows on with these pawns. And now here from Parham, we see a decisive mistake, but it's still very difficult to play. He goes bishop to b5, again trying to trade a defensive one plus an attacking one, try and get some threats. But can you see the winning shot for Magnus? Now there are multiple good moves, but there's one which just crushes it, plus 10 for white. So the move to play here is bishop takes on h7. Themes of the Greek gift sacrifice, that classic idea where the knight then follows up to g5, the queen's often on d1, streaming out like this. Now that bishop was captured, there's little better by the way, the king's just getting hunted, and now we see pawn to g6, ripping open lines. Now if the king retreats, well then all sorts starts going on. You can push h6, you can crash through here, so we do see the pawn captured, but now this queen invades to f7. You also could have taken immediately with check, different winning moves. Magnus goes for this one, very simple. How do you actually stop the threat of pawn takes on g6, mating the king down the h-file? And if you take, it's no good, you checkmate like this. So Parham goes g5, trying to keep the lines closed, but now pawn h6. And here we had a resignation. Again, the h-file is just getting ripped open decisively, and you can't even push this pawn on to keep it closed anymore because of the pin going on down here. So Magnus crushes Parham in 28 moves. Absolutely brutal. So he was now poised to win the championship unless Keymer or Artemiev could win their games. So what happened? Well, Artemiev, he went down to Fabi. Beautiful attacking game from Fabi. He took that win, so it left it to Keimer and it got so tense. He was playing against MVL, had the black pieces, played superbly this amazing G5 move, created chances, then had a one end game, but he choked in the final moments, couldn't find the winning continuation. MVL held a draw, which went Magnus won. He was the outright champion on his own. So congratulations to Magnus Carlsen. We're gutted not to be seeing him over the board next year by the look of things, but at least we'll see him playing online. So I hope you enjoyed this one. If you want to check out another epic game of chess by the one and only Mr. Controversial Hans Niemann, then see the video on screen. Thanks for watching and I hope to see you soon.